And you're sideways.
Oh shit. Oh my God. Okay. I definitely don't know how to figure this out.
Just turn your camera. Turn your phone. There you go.
Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out in a moment.
That is okay, Delovie. How are you?
You're holding the light. Okay. I think that's better.
That's perfect. That's perfect for us.
Okay.
Forgive me for saying this. You're so beautiful.
Sorry. I'm trying to see where I can actually fit the phone. So it can stand, I think there.
That is beautiful. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Delovie?
Yes. I mean, you can easily just call me D. Everyone calls me D.
Okay,
so
D it is. D, how are you? You look amazing.
Good. How are you?
We're good. Thank you so much for joining us for Black History Month. And
my pleasure, really.
Thank you for allowing us to give you your flowers. So
I take all of them.
Okay, that's how we want to do it. Let me ask you this silly question to get started. Do they celebrate Black history in Uganda?
Not really, honestly. I think it's mostly an American thing. Yeah, we don't. I mean, like, honestly, guys, we are Black all year round, you know. So we celebrate every day. We live it. We live the truth. So
exactly.
It's what it is.
Exactly. Well, let me tell her I came across you. There was a young lady in Mexico, and the two of you were highlighted in an article about Black female photographers to look out for, and you were on the list. And I went right down that list, and I was like, "Oh my God, I love your work." And so then I started hitting them up, and it was like, "Yo, I need to talk to this person about being able to interview." And they were like, "Yo, I'll do this." So thank you for this. So D.
So yeah, like, thank you so much for reaching out. You know,
look at that hair.
That is amazing. It feels good to know that regardless of, you know, our circumstances, we're still being seen and heard. So that goes a long way. Yeah.
Well, we're happy that you're here to join us. So tell us, what type of photographer are you?
I would say, like, I'm a faces photographer, you know. I'm a portraiture person, you know, because for me, like, faces speak more. Like, I can feel, I feel like all faces kind of like have a story to tell. So I'm always, like, you know, into everyone's faces. So I'm a portraiture photographer, obviously also documentary in a way, but also very conceptual too. So I'm kind of like, you know, a flexible, like, here and there. Like, if you look at my Instagram, it's mixed. It has both conceptual and, like, you know, field work. So I'm kind of like a type of, you know, both. I do all, you know, like, yeah.
But you also are telling stories out there that aren't being told. Tell us the plight of some of these stories that's happening in Uganda that we may not be aware of.
Obviously, without, like, taking all the credit and just, you know, like, kind of like sway away from the narrative of, like, speaking for the voiceless, because I don't feel like anyone is voiceless out there. But I think that I can easily speak about my Queendom, the Queendom in Transition series. That is a long-term project that I'm working on, celebrating the queers of Africa. And literally before starting that project, I kind of felt like, you know, as queer people in Uganda, we were, I think many people who are coming in from other countries to kind of capture our stories, we're perpetrating into the idea of, like, you know, the bloodshed, you know, like the mob, or like just kind of like, you know, keeping the narrative of, like, the suffering. And don't get me wrong, that is still there, right? It's still ongoing. It's a fight every day. But in the end, it is also like, you know, we are there, you know, as us, and we're surviving, and we're still living in a way, we, you know, like, against all odds, you know, throughout all the injustices and oppression. And so I kind of just wanted to give this a different narrative to kind of like normalize our differences, you know, as queer people, and approach it in a way of celebrating our bravery, you know, and authenticity, because knowing that where we come from, that these people are always threatening us to kind of bring back the, you know, kill the gays bill. And basically, like, everything that goes wrong in our country, it's like us, you know, it's the gays who have done this and stuff, right? So just kind of wanted to, you know, like, kind of like shift the narrative from all this bad that is about, you know, like, that is against the queers, to kind of celebrate us, you know, the love, the bravery of, like, the way everything that we go through to actually sacrifice, even if it takes like just a moment in front of the camera, to kind of, like, you know, feel like it's a safe space, you know, to kind of celebrate as you know, as we are, you know, as we come, like, it's like laying it out on the table in just that moment. So I just kind of really wanted to change the narrative, not necessarily to tackle any challenges, because in the end, this is a fight that I feel like it's, you know, gonna go on for as long as we can fight, honestly. And I feel like with us starting this, in the end, it will help, like, you know, the future generation, or even the future generation that we want, you know, of like great grandkids, that would be able to maybe, like, you know, look back at these images and just kind of, like, you know, normalize that, oh, I actually saw this person in these photos, they were wearing, you know, flowers and makeup and stuff. So when they actually meet someone like that in person, then it's, you know, like, the ignorance is already gone. You know what I mean?
They're
So
just
they
accepting.
don't,
They're
like,
just accepting the person as the person.
yeah, exactly. So basically, that's the long-term idea. And I really don't know if that's happening anytime soon, but we gotta, like, keep showing up and taking up space, and keep the narrative going. And maybe one time it will pay off, you know,
It
but
will. It will.
we can only try,
Because
really.
we have to bring things to people's attention, because if we don't, they live in ignorance. So tell us how you
Yeah.
picked up your cameras. Give us the history of how you picked up your camera.
Oh my God, that is like a funny, it's a funny and also like sad story in a way. But how it
Okay.
started was, I was 16 and I was doing, I think, a certificate in mass communication stroke journalism. And there is this guy, because by then, like, there weren't like really any practicals, like we barely touched any camera for like the whole year, you know. So it was more about, like, you know, theory, and I'm just really not good at theory at all. Like, I'm a very hands-on person. Like,
Right.
theory really drives me crazy. And in the process, like, this guy shows up with the point and shoot. It was like a box thing, like a Canon film, you know.
I know the
And
camera.
I literally, like, looking at it, I got so fascinated that I was like, yo, I really want to know how this works, you know. I really want to feel it and stuff. So I ended up borrowing it for 2 months. And all those 2 months, I was like always shooting and actually, like, had to figure out how to develop, you know, images and stuff, because I come from a non-artist family. Like, no one knows how this shit works, like, at all. And so
Nice.
I literally had to self-teach how to figure this whole thing out. And there was something about, like, taking images of people, you know, the faces, as I said, it just kind of, like, you know, they draw me in. It's just like, if I look at someone's face, I see deeper than just the physical appearance, you know. In the eyes, there's always, I don't know, there's always something that, like, there's always like a search in there, or like a story that is bigger than life itself. And after those 2 months, like, I had to give it back. I had to give it back, and I kind of felt like I had a void, and I promised myself that I had to buy my own camera, you
Yeah.
know. And so I went ahead. Whoa, Jesus, my heart. Sorry.
Those are the ancestors.
Shit, I know, right? Oh my God. Okay, so
I love her. I love this person. Go on.
was something. So I had to give it back, and I ended up like making some money anyway after school because I tried to get an internship from the course that I'd studied, and everywhere I went, they were like, "Oh, you're too young for this," and I'm like, "Fuck this shit," you know. So anyway, I went on to work, you know, and ended up buying myself like a Sony, like these little tiny ones, the point and shoot ones, and by then also like year-old daughter, so obviously I was already like, you know, capturing the moments. And, like,
Don't start. A moment.
I don't know what it is. Can you see
we're
me?
back. Woo! Yes, we can see you now. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm
trying to set this to sit here. Just a moment. Yeah, okay, this is good.
Yes.
So like I ended up just like having to capture little moments around, you know, like my surroundings and stuff. And also I was kind of like discouraged in a way, like even when I had attained this passion for photography, I didn't have an inspiration for, you know, like anyone that was a female photographer to kind of like, you know, look up to. I felt like, you know, every Easter or like any holidays that were happening was always cameramen carrying their cameras and coming to our doorway and like, you know, taking family photos. But that is the picture that I grew up seeing. So even when I was like, I had this love for this thing, I didn't realize that I can actually do it because I was like, okay, like this is a men's field, so I can't really, you know, like get in there. But I mean, so I kind of like let life happen, and you know, a lot happened. I worked like several jobs to kind of like, you know, green pastures and all that. You know, warning for whatever reason. Sorry. You know, the idea of like looking for green pastures and stuff. And so in the end, I ended up getting this job, which ended up like needing me to behave a certain way, like be more feminine. I'm a very masculine, you know, like physicality when it comes to my physicality and how I dress. And so this job wanted me to behave like more feminine, you know, wear dresses and heels and put on makeup and have my hair a certain way. And yo, those were like the hard, because I was desperate in that moment. I was like, yo, I'm the sole provider of my family. I need to, you know, like find a way to make this work.
Right.
And in desperacy, I ended up like, you know, selling my soul to the devil. Like the money wasn't even that interesting, but in that moment, you're like, yo, it's about survival at the moment, right? And I couldn't even recognize myself. Like, imagine all of this in like makeup and like dress. I don't have any problem with people who wear makeup. It's just not for me.
Not for you.
And those were the worst 2 months of my life. Like I couldn't even last more than that. I was so depressed. I was basically like living a lie, you know? And I'm like, you know what? By that time, actually, I had bought my first DSL. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get my baby and we're gonna learn this shit, but there's no way in hell I'm working for anyone ever again. Like, fuck this shit.
Nice.
After that, like, I just felt like my heart had made the best decision of my life, really. Because have you ever made a decision about something and it just felt really, really right? That's how it is. Like, I just felt like
it grabbed you.
It did, for real. Like, it was a sigh of relief. I didn't even know how the heck I was gonna go, you know, like through all that learning, because in Uganda there isn't that like a formal, you know, like photography setup, like where you can go and learn particularly. But I felt like, you know, once I let myself, you know, accept what I wanted to do, the universe kind of like, you know, did its thing, you know, and just kind of like, you know, was like, yeah, D, we've been waiting for this. So you're gonna make shit work, you know. And in that moment also, like, you know, I feel like the universe brought like the right people towards, you know, my path. And I just ended up like having people were like, oh, I had a friend by that time who was like practicing camera, and they're like, yeah, it's okay. I can, like give you Lightroom. I can install Lightroom onto your computer and like show you a little bit of how to move the sliders and stuff. Because before that, I was just using the camera to shoot a couple frames. Like I never thought about editing. Like it was never a thing. And after that, honestly, I never stopped. Like now I used to carry my camera everywhere that I go. I went to like, little community events, to show people that I was there, and like, it doesn't matter what I was taking, but I knew for sure that I always needed to be out there, put myself out there. And I feel like after people also like started seeing me with a camera, then these other people are like, oh, are you a photographer? I'm like, yeah. And honestly, that's how it built on, and I kept on like meeting people who could teach me a thing or two, and seriously, that's how I started. And I feel like my passion, it kind of fueled my passion to kind of be authentic, and I think that is a theme that also like applies a lot in my work, because then I was like, okay, like I can't, this is not okay. Like the 2 months that I passed through having to be someone else, like that wasn't right. Yeah, and then I was imagining all these people that are still not out and actually going through all of this, having to literally like, I don't know, like suppress all that they are just to kind of conform to a society that doesn't even give a fuck about us, And so I'm like, yo, we need to do this, like whatever it takes, we are here, we're going to be queer and we're going to be loud as fuck and we're going to tell our stories whether you want to hear them or not.
So that's how you, how did you start your activism in your photography?
Because there's activism here.
Yeah, like this. How did you combine them?
When I introduced you, I was like, they're an activist photographer.
Yeah.
Like, you may think you're taking faces, but you're taking lives, and you're showing it in our faces. Like, look at this. You need to know. How did that come about?
So I guess also like through my own experiences, really, I felt like through the years, I didn't just, like one day wake up and come out as queer, It was a lot of things that kind of like through my growing up that kind of shaped, my own experiences as a queer person. Because you grow up in a country where like, you read the Bible constantly and it's talking about Sodom and Gomorrah. And like, that's all they preach in church. You never hear about like homosexuality anywhere else because it's actually banned from, because apparently the government thinks that talking about that kind of promotes or like makes people recruit, like, what's the word? Recruit.
Right, you recruiting
others
right.
into the
like if
cult.
I touch you, you're gonna Who does that?
Yeah, that's how insane it is. So it's banned from being spoken about, in radio stations or even televisions. And so you're growing up like green as fuck. You don't know what's happening to you. You have all these feelings that you don't understand. There's no one you can ask. There's no one you can relate to, like nothing except the condemnation of the sin. You know what I mean? And so you have to grow up like, trying to like suppress all these feelings that you have. Of course, you don't understand. You don't even have a word for it because by that time, I think the internet was there, but I didn't have access to it. I come from a family of a single mother. Like there was no way in hell I could even access internet at all, And when I first like literally like fell in love with a girl, I was just like very lost. Like I remember going to work and I was like, everything that went wrong at work in those couple months, I was like, holy shit, I think this is God punishing me for for having these feelings towards like same sex. I was I fought a lot with my own feelings. It took me a lot of time. On a serious note, like I went through a stage of like a lot of depression and, like low self-esteem, like I wasn't confident at all because I kind of felt lost, and I felt like, I had a very isolated childhood, and getting to, you know, like understand all of this that I was going through, it kind of fueled, you know, like the activism in me. I'm like, yo, look, I understand the circumstances, but I'm gonna be here, and you know, like if you need any inspiration to kind of like, you know, be yourself, I'm gonna be here, you know, and maybe by watching me or like the work that I do, maybe you will understand bits about yourself, because growing up, I could have wanted someone to guide me, you know, to be there in as an example. But during that time, really, like there was no access to anything. And I'm not saying that I'm the first one from Uganda to do activism about like, you know, being queer. There's many of them, but I'm just simply saying that I didn't have access to them. And, you know, because also like, the activism, there's like levels of activism where like the others are like up there, unreachable.
Right.
And then there's like these ones who are approachable, you know. So I want to be like, I wanted to be that approachable person that you can, you know, reach out. And even if it took for you to just, you know, like pause in front of my camera and just feel seen, you know, and feel heard. And also the other thing is like when I'm taking the photos of my participants, because for me, I don't really use any subjects, because I'm simply a messenger to like, for your message, like it's not my story, right?
Right.
Even if we are in the same boat, but in the end, like we all have different experiences, right?
Correct.
And so I don't pose my people, my participants. It's always about like, yo, when you're in my camera, you have to pose as you would like the world to perceive you. And I think that is something that kind of like brings out that connection, or like, you know, with my participants, you can see the real them through my photos, you know. And there are many photos that I've also taken of people that ended up not being in my series, but in the end, they were like, look, by being in your camera and like, you know, being myself in that moment, it really, really triggered something in me, you know. And for me, that's really what I live for, because in the end, I don't care where my story goes or like our stories go, but if it changes, you know, like something or triggers something, a positive something in my participants, then that goes a long way, you know. And also when it comes to captioning my images, it's always the participants' words, like it's never my words. Because as I said, I'm simply being an element of, you know, just basically being there and letting you take your space.
You're just a
you know.
vessel.
You're just a messenger.
And
Yeah.
your messages are beautiful.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. So how did your family feel about you being a photographer?
I still don't think they understand. I know, like, they know that I take photos, but I don't think they understand the depth of the context of my work. And I think it's better that way. Yeah, they have seen my photos. I've invited my mom to some exhibition that I did at home about the Queendom, you know, photos. And
Right.
Get it?
I don't
Tell
think
us the
she
story.
does understand.
She didn't understand.
It is what it is, really. She doesn't have any problem with it, thankfully, because I mean, really, like, look, it took time. It took time to get where we are at the moment. I had to be like, Mom, I love you so much, but you've lived your life, so let me live mine as I wish, you know? And we came to an agreement. So, yeah. But yeah, in the aspect of my work, they don't really get it.
Wow.
So let me ask you this: Are you cultivating other female photographers?
I won't say that.
Okay.
I won't really say that. As I said, I don't want to take any kind of credit, you know, for the work that is being done, especially like, you know, with other female photographers that are either like already in the game or that are upcoming. I feel like, you know, as a community, we kind of like, you know, obviously like we all share these aspects of like, you know, interaction and like learning from each other, but I'm I'm not cultivating on anyone's path really. I would say like, I mean, like often I do receive a couple messages of like, oh wow, like you inspire me and stuff, but that's about it really. And usually if they're interested, I could always, you know, point out a thing or two, but it's, yeah.
But think
No.
about it. You had nobody to help you. You had to figure it out. That's going to be part of your legacy and your journey, if you want to or not. You're going to have to do that because you had no one to help you. So now you're in a position to help. You have to be that person.
You got to pay it forward.
If you like it or not. Maybe not right now.
Yeah.
But it's going to be there. So tell us how it felt to have your first exhibit.
So my first exhibit, I remember it was on International Women's Day. Nice. And honestly, by that time, I hadn't even created any work. It was just random images of, you know, faces. And because it was a couple friends that were like organizing that, actually like someone who had seen me with a camera, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I won't lie to you. But they had seen me, you know, at a protest, you know, with a camera. And so they were like, hey, actually, we're organizing this event, you know, would love you to, you know, come and take photos and also like exhibit if you have some work. And I'm like, sure. I remember that body of work was so horrible. I'm sorry. Like it was, oh my God. But it is people like that who have, you know, actually like empowered me to keep going, because even when I hadn't even realized my path at all, you know, they still gave me space to realize how important my work was gonna become, or like how impactful I can actually, it was more of like awakening and just be like, oh, actually photography can be really this important, because
yes.
I saw people look at my portraits and, you know, because by that time actually I was doing a lot of black and whites, and they're like, you know, you could see people like really looking at it. I'm like, oh, is that really that interesting?
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
and I have
we saw your greatness. Wait, we saw your greatness before you saw your greatness.
That is true, for sure. Like if it wasn't for other people, I wouldn't have imagined anything. I'm telling you, I have the biggest imposter syndrome. Like even when Dallas reached out, I'm like, what? Like,
are you serious?
You want me? I know. So I'm always shocked at how far my work goes and, you know, its impact. But I'm also really grateful for spaces like this to that are here to kind of like empower, you know, our Black selves to, you know, keep going regardless. Yeah.
So do you have any other, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was about to ask, do you plan on traveling and doing and shooting, traveling and shooting?
Yeah, I do. I'm very adventurous.
Good.
But also, I'm really interested in, like, you know, seeing where this journey takes me. I'm a very open-minded person, very flexible. At the moment, I'm in Johannesburg, South Africa. And it was because I did get a scholarship to study photojournalism and documentary photography.
Congratulations.
Kind of like, you know, thank you. It was like, I was trying to get to this thing like for 2 years, and it finally happened. So I couldn't be more happier. And yeah, obviously it had its challenges, because obviously with 2020 happening and basically fucking up everything and savings and stuff. So it's not been an easy journey, but, you know, we're making it work, because that's all we can do really. But I'm open to traveling around the world. Like hopefully one time I get to do a show with you guys. You know,
we will definitely be there.
Your work is amazing.
Oh, no. Every time I interview people like you, it makes me go back to my photos and go, I'm just taking pretty photos of pretty women. I swear. I saw the story of the young lady who lost her legs in your journey. I saw the photos, beautiful photos of a black and white woman with their love. That's the magic. That's where it is, because you're showing the human side of people, and you're showing them what they're going through. Uganda is having their own civil war. So let me ask you, with this going on, did Black Lives Matter reach your country when we lost George Floyd here?
Or what impact?
So there was a lot of talk about it, you know, but seriously, there wasn't, you know, like major protests as it was in other countries. But there's this group that is called the No White Saviors. They kind of organized one.
No White Saviors.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
They organized one little march where I had to go with a couple friends, and obviously, like the sole reason was to be there, but also like take some images to kind of show what, you know, like how it was going. That very peaceful protest ended up being raided by the police, and we had to hide.
Wow.
I think they took everyone else apart from us three, I think, because we happened to have gone like on the rooftop, that they kind of missed us, but we saw everything go down. It was scary, like being caught up in that, like, you know, but it was a very peaceful protest. Apparently the police was informed, but they still showed up and like disrupted everything. But that was the only aspect of Black Lives Matter during that, you know, like time that happened. I don't know any other side, but obviously on Facebook, you know, people talk, but that's about it. It's just talk. Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That's crazy. So what voice and legacy do you want us to see from you in the future? Like, you're no longer here because we all have an expiration date. What would you want your legacy? Yeah, we do. What would you want your legacy to be?
That's a very broad one. Like in my bodies of work, in my projects, I tend to explore the identity as a whole, because I do believe that identity can be really, really broad. We do evolve, we grow, we evolve, we grow, and I think really, like, once I'm gone, it would just be important to be remembered as someone who tried to fight for our freedom as, you know, like African queers, to be, you know, realistic, just to kind of like have the freedom of expression, you know, to be authentic, to just be us. So just basically like fighting for freedom, and also like normalizing that our indifferences kind of don't affect any other person in any way, you know, apart from us, you know, just normalizing our differences, you know, that if you see me like looking all raggedy and shit, like that's me in my true form, like that's who I choose to be. Like there's no way in hell that, you know, affects you or like your quality of.
Can you speak?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think
Back.
Well, let's do this.
I think I kind of figured out the internet problem, so I think I'm gonna be on for a bit. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Perfect. Can you
Yeah.
speak about your
Apologies,
fundraiser?
everyone.
Oh no, it's fine.
Oh no, it happens. It
It
happens.
happens. Can you speak about your fundraiser?
You have a fundraiser that you want to talk about. Would you like to talk about your fundraiser?
Oh yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So as I mentioned a little bit before, I've been trying to get into the Market Photo Workshop. It's a very reputable school that does photography here in South Africa, and I've been trying to get into the school for 2 years, and finally it happened. And by the time it happened, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know how that works, but that's when also like COVID was wrecking up the world and like, you know, taking up space and showing up, you know, and it just so happened that like all the money that I was saving up for this particular thing to happen, I ended up having to use it. You know, I'm a single parent, and obviously that means that I have a lot of responsibility that kind of falls back on me. And so when this opportunity came in, really, they covered my fees, but not anything else. So I have to find a way to make it work livelihood, you know, accommodation, and moving countries is really, really not easy. I didn't imagine it to be this hard. There was a lot of aspects that I have to sort out, and yeah, like school for my child and all, even like these other things. So like accommodation and everything else, like there's a lot of details that I can't really now start breaking out because of the time. But yeah, so like a friend of mine helped me set up a fundraiser, and we are currently at 66, I think 67% of my goal. But
Good.
if it's, you know, like it's huge, like that is amazing. I was so surprised and immensely grateful for everyone who kind of like, you know, joined forces to see that we get to that huge number, because we all know how the things can flop, you know. So I've been really
Yes.
lucky. But I mean, the goal is still not reached, and I've already taken out some of that, you know, to kind of like establish the move, because we've been here for a month now. And yeah, so like if anyone is out there and willing to donate, if they can, because I know everyone is going through a tough time at the moment. So I would really appreciate like any, like there's nothing that is too small, and also sharing is free with your contacts, or, you know, your family, your friends, like it doesn't really matter. Like it's very flexible. And so yeah, it goes a long way, because if it wasn't for people who supported me to get here, I don't think I would be here at all. So my work that I'm trying to create, like I want to continue trying to change the narrative even a little bit, you know, and also like be able to continue telling our African stories as Africans, you know, in the realism of it all. And so yeah, that's the career. Like I'm doing photojournalism because I want to go out there in the field, you know, like I want to go to the where the stories are, and kind of like, you know, create relationships with these people, and establish, you know, trust, and also like tell their stories in their perspective, you know, because I think it's really important. So yeah, by helping donate to my fundraiser, it goes a long way. I can't even start imagining or explaining how, you know, much it means to me. But yeah, I'm on this journey because, you know, people have believed in me, and, you know, I'm kindly asking for the same support going forward.
So how can
And
they get
yeah.
to, where is the link to your fundraiser?
Where can we find
Where
it?
can we find it?
So my Instagram is Delovie Photography, and on Twitter it's Delovie Photos, like DELOVIE Photography and DELOVIE Photos. And both of those accounts all have my fundraiser link. But also if you go to my website, which is deloviephotography.com, still my fundraiser link is also on there, so that it's easy. Like wherever you go on my socials, you find my fundraiser link, and you can just click on it. And yeah, I made it easy.
Okay, I'm glad you did that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Dee. Do you sell your photographs? Do you sell prints?
Yes, I do sell prints, but usually that would come in, you know, like editions. But in the
Okay.
moment, I've been really, really like trying, like figuring out a lot of things, you know, like to see how I can raise money, and like everything has been a mess. So at the moment, I think I still need a bit of time to actually like go back to my photos and actually like organize another edition to
Right.
see how that can go. But yes, if anyone wants a print, please DM me, slide in the DM.
Slide in your DMs.
Just slide in the DM, you know. Yeah, so
let's talk about this for a second. We talked about your activism. We talked about your journey getting into photography. What changes would you like to see for your country as it pertains to the LGBTQ community?
the biggest one of all is freedom, you know, like freedom of expression, to just kind of like acknowledge that we do exist, you know, because denying us the right to live freely doesn't really erase us, you know, and making our freedom such a pain doesn't mean that we're still not gonna rise and, you know, like still be a pain in the ass, as they call us, right?
Right.
We're still gonna be here. So regardless, and also like there's also like a generation of young queers that are coming up, you know, and we're gonna be unstoppable either way. So they better give us our freedom already. But also honestly, better treatment. You know, I feel like there's a lot of injustices centered around being queer in Uganda. You know, like hospitals are not accessible to us. Once doctors know that you're gay, like they basically can and have a right to deny you treatment, you know. Our communities most of the times are also not really safe because some people, because obviously like, so when the government doesn't support you, people in the society or communities feel like it's okay to kind of, you know, like join their forces and actually like enforce, you know, whatever needs to be done. And so we've lost a lot of people along the way, you know, that have been taken out by their own communities. And every time the government threatens to bring back the, you know, like kill the gays bill, people take it up on their hands to slaughter us, basically, you know. And you hear stories where people have, you know, like found you in your house and like they have murdered you, you know, literally like machete, you know, like cutting you up. And you can't even, you reach a point where you can't even trust your neighbor, because if they get to know that you're gay, then they will report you to the, you know, so they can take you to prison. And so you go through that kind of life, you know, living in fear. There's a time, I think, when they were like talking about bringing the Kill the Gays bill again, I think last October. And there was a time like I had a lot of social anxiety. Like I couldn't even go out of my own house. Like I was so afraid of being on the streets, because this one time that I went somewhere and like two army officers kind of like harassed me, like groped me and like, oh, are you a boy or a girl? Like, why are you dressed like that? What is your name? You know, and it is very traumatic. I've been called lesbian on the street, you know, and you know what that can bring. Like when someone shouts, it's like, you know, it's like kind of echoes back in my mind. I'm like, holy shit, this is happening. And I've been called a pig by just having a septum. So in Uganda, it's very common for people when they don't understand what is happening, or like when they don't understand the change or the difference, you know, they simply just shut up, like, no, shut off, and just don't want like anything to do with that. So there will always be like a lot of like rebellion and ignorancy. So honestly, we go through a lot to try and, you know, like stay on the radar, to like keep ourselves like safe, you know, because even when I'm taking photos, I always have to watch out, like, you know, which locations am I shooting from, because trust me, I would love to parade my participants, you know, in rainbow colors and like, you know, flags and like, you know, on the street in colorful outfits and makeup and stuff, but I can't, because then our safety is, you know, like improvised. I don't know if that's the word, but yeah, it's tough, you know, it's tough to be queer in Uganda, but we are here, you know, we are here, we are queer, we still try as much as we can to live, you know, how we can. And, you know, we create our small community, you know, like of DJs, of like creative people who are actually killing it, you know, that makes me really proud. And like most of those people are the ones who actually like, you know, are my participants in my photos, because it's kind of like a hidden agenda to, you know, defy the odds and kill the stereotypes, right? So we try every day, but yeah, the aspect of safety is definitely top notch. We want to be safe, you know, we want to be free, and we just want to be treated, you know, the same as everyone else. So like, that's my wish for my country. Like that, those are the changes that I would love to see, you know, in Uganda at one point in my lifetime, or maybe if not, then at least for my great grandkids to see that, because we don't always leap off our efforts, unfortunately. So
let me ask you this. A lot of your work does contain same-sex love. Are you afraid to show those images?
So it all falls under consent, you know. How I find my participants is I reach out to the people that I think would, you know, like maybe be a part of this, or like the people that I know are living, excuse me, like openly queer. I kind of reach out, you know, with my concept, you know, we go through this, we talk about it, you know, what what it involves, what it entails, being a part of this. It shows that, you know, this work, you know, won't end here, obviously, because that's the whole purpose, to push our stories as far as possible. And just kind of like, you know, explaining the risks that are into, you know, participating into this project. So I always target the people who are either like already out and are comfortable to be out there, because I don't want to, you know, like I wouldn't really want to, what is the word? Risk anyone's safety, right? Because it's an aspect of safety, right? And so it basically rotates around that consent. When someone, you know, like agrees to do this, then we're good to go, because then they understand the risks that are in this, but they're willing, you know, to participate and actually be in the light of wherever that would take us. But also, like when I do take these images and someone backs out, you know, because of fear or like whatever reasons, it's a matter of respect and just being, hey, I understand, but you know, like we can maybe next time when you're ready, you know, because I do understand the aspects of it. It's just like, I think it's easier because I do resonate with that a lot. Like it's also my reality. So it helps kind of like, you know, put things in perspective. But yeah, it's all about consent.
Wow. I never thought about living in a place or being in a place that I can't be me. So we have different journeys here. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you have to go through that in your country, and I'm glad you're using your voice and your artistry to bring it to the forefront, because you're brave, and we needed to hear that story. You're a very brave person, and we really needed to hear that. So when you were selected for the article of up-and-coming photographers to look at, how did you feel about that?
Before I answer that, I would love to retract back and just be like, I'm not the only one. You know,
Right.
like, yes, the bravery is there, but I'm not the only one. We are many that actually, like, you know, are trying to do this in Uganda. So just to mention that.
Yes.
But when I was like, when they reached out to me about that, actually, I don't know, like, as I said, man, I have a lot of imposter syndrome. So I was like, what? Like, is this real? Like, are you kidding? But in the end, honestly, like, it was overwhelming, you know, because trust me, in the years that I've been doing this, there are many people who have watched me start from scratch, you know, and to be able to reach to a place where like a platform like that highlights me as top of, you know, like the 10 Black women photographers to watch in 2021.
In the world.
That is so huge. I know. And yeah, so I couldn't believe it. I was like, maybe it's not real. But I also like acknowledge that, you know, however much like there is all this disbelief, you know, creatives, you kind of like have this thing of like, oh my God, like, you know, my work is not good enough. Like, you know, I don't deserve this, I don't deserve that. We have a lot of critical, like we criticize ourselves a lot more than anyone else. At least I know that I do that a lot. And it was just a matter of kind of like, you know, understanding that this is not a mistake. You know, like many other names that could have been on that list, but they weren't. So acknowledging like is the hardest thing. Like I had to learn how to celebrate the little wins, and now these things are coming and I'm like, oh my God. But it's acknowledging the fact that, you know, I did this, you know, I've put in a lot of work to get to where I am, you know, where you saw my name and you're like, wow, we need to, you know, talk to this person. So it was overwhelming, but it's also like, you know, something that I also like have learned to believe that I deserve it.
Believe
Ooh,
it.
I see my people like rooting for me. I'm like, yes.
See, they're rooting for you. Exactly.
I know. Like, shout out to Dalcom and Mitao. Like, you guys amazing. So,
And you're
yeah.
amazing too. So you have to accept
Thank
that.
you.
You have to accept that. Nothing's by mistake at all.
Thank you. Really. It is somehow very hard to get to a point where you actually believe that, but I'm getting there slowly. Really.
We're happy that you're getting there. So let me
Thank
ask
you.
you this. We're coming to the end of our interview, believe it or not. A couple of questions. First question is, what is your favorite photograph that you've taken and why?
What is my favorite photograph that I've taken?
Mm-hmm.
There's an image that that is so hard to choose because, okay, so my favorite one, I think, that has been, there's an image called Anna in the Kingdom series.
Mm-hmm.
I invited, as I said, like it's always about like knowing the spaces where we're gonna shoot. It takes a lot of like organizing and actually getting a lot of people together. And so I invited a lot of, I think there were like 7 of like my trans friends to my house, and we organized like a day of just kind of like shooting, you know. They came with makeup and glitter, and like there was also obviously drinks, you know. It was like
Right.
fun, interaction and stuff, and everyone got to dress up the way they want. And in the end, after I had taken all the photos for the day, it happened so that Anna, who is also an activist in Uganda, runs. She runs an organization called Anna Foundation. She ended up like pulling out this apron that was just randomly in my kitchen and
Right.
putting it on and like white heels, and I'm like, yo, go, you look amazing, let's go do this. So it just kind of like, you know, she actually was like, okay, actually, can you take a photo of me like this? And so we went to the rooftop and just started posing, and that image, like until this day, I'm like, wow. Because,
Really?
and also like the aspect of like, I didn't really do anything into creating that except shoot, you know what I
Right.
mean? Except like photograph the image. But that image actually won me an award, like
Nice.
special mentions at the Pride Photo Awards last year.
Good.
So that was really amazing. But also like this person that I really enjoy shooting. Their name is Gerard. Gerard is like magnificent. Like if you look at my images, they're that consistent person that I always shoot because, wow, like the beauty is just like, oh. But everyone is
Nice.
so gorgeous though. Like I think the most attractive or beautiful thing about someone is being themselves, like being authentic. And that goes a long way. But yeah, if I had to choose, it would be Anna, really.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Give me 3 adjectives that describes D.
Crazy.
Okay.
I feel like I'm this person who always bends the rules. So like I'm a bend ruler, if that's a thing.
I'm a
And
bend
the
ruler.
other thing is
Nice.
that and the other thing is also like I'm an ambivert because I feel like I can be the life of a party, but I can also be the, you know, like the downside of it. I have my moments. And
Okay.
the other thing is, wow, this is hard to say, but I think I'm creative.
And
I don't
that's
think I've
hard to
said that
say.
like out loud at some point, but I'm creative, yes.
You are creative. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And I'm glad you are creative. And my last question before we go, what is in your camera bag?
Hmm. um, like 3 hard drives, and like 2 memory cards at the moment, and honestly, there's
Okay.
also like this. There's I don't know, like a lens cleaner, really. That's that's
So there's
what
no
is in my
camera in
camera
your
bag.
there's no camera in your camera
That's
bag.
not what she meant.
Oh shit!
So-
Okay. There's a camera. There's a camera.
Okay, well we're
Okay,
glad
that was
you're
a
gonna
trick
need
question.
You're gonna need that.
There is a camera, yes. Yes,
This
there is
has
a
been an
camera.
amazing, amazing interview. Thank you for allowing us to give you your flowers. And
I claim all
please,
the flowers. I take them all.
claim
Thank you.
them all. Take them all. This is absolutely amazing. We love your voice. We love your artistry. And we love your vision. And please, 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 just keep going. Now we have to do one more thing. Come on over, Day. We got to get a
Thank
good
you.
shot of us all together for the thumbnail. So get ready.
Okay.
We're going to do a shot, and we're going to hold it for 5 seconds. You ready?
Okay.
So come on over.
Yes.
And I'm going to do it on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Hold it for 5 seconds. And there we are. Thank you so much.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank
No,
you
it's
so much for
amazing.
having me.
We're going
And
to
making it seem like it was a natural conversation, like more than an interview. So thank you for that.
we're going to promote your fundraiser, and we're going to try to help you get that money up, because we need to.
Thank
they
you.
need you. They need you. No, thank you for doing this. Day, you want to say goodbye?
Thank you
Have a
so
nice
much.
day.
Thank you, Dallas.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Day.
We can't
Thank
wait
you
to
so
see
much.
what you
We
come
can't
up
see
with.
the magic you're going to come up with. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you for your energy. Your energy is amazing. Your vibe is. Thank you.
So is yours. Thank you
Bye.
so much, D. Have a good day.
Bye.